You were live.
Hey, yo, internet. Happy
What's happening, guys?
Tuesday. I was really confused there with that long
Labor Day
weekend.
feels like a Monday. It's actually Tuesday. Fun fact.
What's going on, guys? Before we get this thing going, you know what we're going to ask you. Who do you think is going to win the U.S. Open? And furthermore, thank you for watching us instead of the U.S. Open right now. I mean, that's
they're not watching instead. They are watching both if they're watching. They're like, oh, I just have my computer over here, and I'm watching. Who do we have tonight? Felix Algier, Aliassime, and
that's good pronunciation. The rest of the universe is defaulted to FAA because they have no idea how to pronounce it.
Only reason I know, I just did a YouTube video on his serve.
There you go.
So
that'll do it.
So I had to say his name a few times.
Well, we'll give people a couple minutes to stroll in here. Coming off a long holiday weekend with FAA playing, if we had a huge attendance, I would be pleasantly surprised.
More important is who he is playing. The 18-year-old Wunderkid. Did you know this? Fun fact, I learned this the other day for you guys that don't watch Ted Lasso. If you watch Ted Lasso, you know this. It is not Wunderkid. It is Wunderkind. I guess it's like German or something.
Wunderkind?
It's like one word. Wunderkid. Wunderkid.
Is it spelled W-O-N? I don't even know.
No, it's like a W-U. I don't know. Umlaut. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Christopher's making a bold prediction for the women's final. Sablenka and Sakari.
Sakari is balling.
She is
balling.
Man,
she looked good last night.
She really is balling. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and dive right in here. Do you want to start us off here? So we're talking about return to serve. And again, man, people are streaming in kind of quick here. Why don't we give it like 30 more seconds? Until that number stops steadily going up, we'll get going.
I respect that.
Yeah, do us a favor, guys. Comment, one, that you can hear us okay, that everything looks and sounds great, and two, who you think is going to win the U.S. Open on both the men's and the women's side. Fun fact, did you see Brooksby take that first set off Joker? That's who we were watching at the City Open.
Yeah, he's got – sorry, I'm checking the scores.
There you go.
He's unorthodox, man. Like the two-handed slice. And
this isn't nice. That serve is gross. And I'm not saying I have like a beautiful game, but his serve is just really not very good looking.
They talked about it in the fifth set that, for such a talented young man that he needed to really get with a good coach and work through some fundamentals.
Or just really any coach.
Here's the good news is that at being that talented, getting to the round of 16 of the U.S. Open with a kind of a busted serve, he's got a big future.
Yeah, all he's going to do is clean his serve up, and I feel like bright future ahead.
How about this last name? The guy that played Medvedev. Anybody know how to say it? Vandy Zunderschulp.
Well, the good news is he lost in 4, so
we don't have to say his name for another week or two.
All right, we've got a couple hundred people in here. Why don't we go ahead and get this party started? Ed, thank you. You look and sound great as well.
Well, thank you.
All right, so couple things before we dive in here. So for those of you who this is your first Plus call, I actually see from the Hill family. What's going on, my man? I know this is your first Plus call. Good to see you in here. Throw in the chat your first name. I know it's not the Hill family. But if you've never been to one of these live streams before, the way this works, these are, if we're being completely honest, put on for our Plus community. They're on a separate Zoom screen here that we can see, and they'll be able to ask questions at the end here. But, we like hanging out with people from the internet too. So we live stream this on Facebook and YouTube. But if you're wondering who we're talking to over here in the Plus community, it is our VIP Plus members. So today we're talking about return to serve, yeah?
Return +1, and kind of just return to serve. We're not getting technical on the return to serve. Maybe you have something specific.
You said serve +1, return +1?
Did I say serve +1? Mm-hmm. Return +1.
Return +1.
Yeah. Fun fact, the strategy goes both ways, right? So if you can go serve +1, when you return, you should also have a follow-up strategy for what you're doing on your return. Unless you're playing John Isner and Riley Opelka, then you're surviving. Yeah. But none of us are, or we wouldn't be here on a live stream.
That's true. That's true. Although I did play John Isner in juniors. Didn't go that well.
Yeah. How many serves did you get back?
I got a lot of them back. I didn't win very many points.
Was he 7 feet tall at that time?
He looked like a baby giraffe.
Yeah.
Like walking all around, and then just smacking aces. So it was not cool.
There you go. There you go. All right. So we just dive right into the content?
Yeah, let's get to it. Adam, thank you. You are the best.
All right. The first one, this is going to seem super generic, but it goes without saying because I cannot tell you how often I have to repeat this to juniors and even adults. But the very first thing with return to serve is simply do whatever you have to do to get the ball back in play.
Yeah, just make your opponent.
Especially in singles, right?
Oh,
like it may be in doubles. It's like you can't just block a ball through the middle or it's just a layup for the doubles play. But for us singles players, for you singles players, I play doubles too, not to sound like I don't. But for singles, you got to remember, like there's still a lot of court, and they've got to move and make other plays. So maybe their serve's not breaking down, but maybe their low forehand is.
Well,
maybe their high backhand.
The pressure too. I mean, think about how much pressure you feel when you're trying to hold serve in an important singles match. And then imagine your opponent was just getting every ball back in play. Like every single point, you were getting no free points off your serve. Just every single point, you had to get started and actually like make a play on the ball to win the point. Like those are the people, most of us are going to call them pushers, but those are the players that we dread playing. Like, I'm just not going to get any free balls. I'm going to have to work hard for every point. So seems super basic, and I promise we'll get more advanced with our strategy than get the ball on the court. But step one is, in fact, just whatever you can do to get the ball back in and make your opponent actually win points and beat you.
Well, it's a percentage game, right? So the big advantage of the server is that they have first strike, so the percentages end up getting their way. 50-50 is ideal, but even if you can get it 40-60, like if you can do that routinely, what ends up happening is that the server often presses. And we know that pressing is one of the hardest things to do in tennis. It's very hard to make things happen if you're not on top of your game. And so I had a junior not too long ago. I say junior, 18, they're a young man, but playing a really, really big server. And I was like, just chip the ball, keep it low. And then what ended up happening was the server, the opponent, kept missing the short ball or hitting a weak ball and coming in and getting past. So what ended up happening is they started going for more on their serve. So if you're in a situation where you get the return or the server to start going for more, their serve percentage is going to drop.
Right.
And that is the name of the game, right? Like you're playing cards here. You just want a new hand. So if they miss their first serve, all bets are off on the second. We can look to get a little bit more aggressive. So getting the serve in play is numero uno.
And it's not very exciting when we deliver it. You're like, wow, I'm glad I attended this live stream. They told me to hit the ball on the court. I was planning on not doing that. But really, like if your mindset, I think a lot of us overplay the return of serve. We make a lot of mistakes for going for too much. Pick out some safe targets on that return of serve and just give your opponent a chance to lose before you make that mistake.
Yeah. Stop going for broke, right? That first serve, you're not on offense. It's okay.
Not yet.
But let's talk about what to do now. Let's talk about some ideas that you can do to get.
You have some more interesting coaching than hit the ball on the court.
That was it. That was the highlight.
That's it, guys. It's been good. Thank you for attending. Hit the ball on the court. That's all we have for you today.
That was all. That's all we got.
Brilliant.
Can I get a thicker line there, please?
Up one more. You guys are.
Yeah. All right, let's do this.
Well, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So the number one strategy, this is without a doubt my favorite, your favorite. We both use this. If you're watching the US Open, watch how often Djokovic uses this. Your goal is to hit the ball as deep as you can to the middle. Now, we're not saying necessarily put it on the baseline. Now, if you're an advanced player and you can get it back here, fantastic. If you're doing this, you're on offense. But if you're getting the ball deep with some good spin or just some good pace anywhere in this box, what's happening is a couple things. Server hits to you, and you come back through the middle. All right, so the ball is here. So what instantly happens is that you take time away from the server. So if Scott has hit his serve, he's just landed, right? I've hit my return. By the time he lands, that ball has gotten just to the net or just past. So what that means is that he has just a moment to get in from inside the court and then behind the court. So I've managed to take time away, and we know that taking time away is the number one goal in tennis. Take time, get more time. Now, something else has happened as well, and I want to show you this because we refer to this as the battering ram, and you may have heard this, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about playing through middle, the battering ram strategy. When you play someone through the middle of the court, what ends up happening is that you take their angle away. So from here, what they can do is they can play really through this sector.
There's not like really a lot of damage you can do unless you're just destroying a forehand from there, right?
Yeah, but and look at these angles.
There's no pattern that really you can just
Yeah, plenty of time to get back to middle, and then they're not moving you. That's really all they can do as far as moving you through the court. Now, in contrast, let's look and let's see what happens here. Fancy, right? So what happens now when we play the ball down the line?
Bad things.
Okay. Bad things, right?
So this is like my number one favorite piece of instruction that you should just not do.
Yeah, this is
a big no-no that a ton of rec players make. This is how if you want to know how to lose points when you're returning serve, this is how you do it. Are you ready?
Yep. So first serve, even if you block it back, right? Or if you take a cut, chances are the server has a decent serve. You're not going to be able to take a cut at it. But when you play here, all they have to do is take 3 steps. Your recovery will get you to here. But so look at all the angle that now exists.
And you just hit the ball the shortest distance on the tennis court, giving you the least amount of time to recover. This decision becomes worse and worse the further you get pulled out wide too, right? If that server pulls you out wide and you hit short down the line, the ball got here as quick as humanly possible. For all the reasons you want the ball to get here quickly when you're in position, you don't want it to get here quickly when you're out of position, so you can just redirect into that open court space. Sorry, I hijacked your little guy here.
No, that's good. So now you're going, well, okay, well, cool. I know it's going cross court. I'll get over there. But this line exists too. Remember, the easiest place to hit a ball is exactly where the ball came from. So if you played down the line, this player is going, I'll take my backhand back down the line, especially if they see you running in this direction. All right, so let's talk about the cross court. Now, the cross court's certainly a better play, but when you're hitting the ball cross court, you need good depth, because what ends up happening is if you don't get the ball past this line, same scenario, you're giving them almost an instant winner. If I serve and I can get my feet inside the line here, this would be like Steph Curry, top of the key. Like, this is where we want to take our shot.
Yeah, that's a free throw.
It's a free throw
shot. We can attack. We're coming into the net.
Yeah, because then at this time, this person's going, I need to cover the line. Where do you think the ball is going if they cover the line? Boop, right back to the cross court. If they hedge their bets and they stay over here, just like Scott said, the ball goes down the line and we're pinching in. Right?
So for all these reasons, hitting deep middle is a great option. If you also go back to the first thing we talked about, how just getting the ball back in play is really priority numero uno. This is actually one of the safer and more intelligent simultaneously shots that you can hit.
I just think it's amazing. Like, Djokovic is without a doubt
the best returner of all time.
I mean, yeah, I don't know who you would even argue with him. I would say right now, Medvedev. Medvedev is number 2 currently of all time. Yep. It's got to be Andre, right? But Medvedev. But if you watch Medvedev and Djokovic, they both are routinely putting the ball deep middle over and over and over again. It's why they're constantly in serve games. It's why neither of them get aced a whole lot, right? Just smart tennis.
I like it.
Yep.
So those are the first 2.
Yep. So let's jump into another one. And if you've watched Dominic Thiem or Rafa play on a hard court, then you know what we're talking about. This is going to be the Rafa. Do you have something?
Yeah, why don't we field a couple questions here?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll call time on the Rafa. We'll get to that in a minute.
I think we kind of covered some of this. And as you know, Chris Hill and Chris Pollock in our plus gallery here, you guys have priority. So if you have any questions, fire away. But I want to field Mark's question here because I think we kind of just talked about this. Why don't returners put immediate pressure on the server anymore, especially with the slower court surfaces? Seems like no one mixes it up and uses the chip and charge anymore. We're going to get to that.
It's one of our strategies.
All right. So Mark, hold that thought. We're going to get there.
Yep.
Chris says, so much of your return is based on the quality of the serve. Big server who can go to the body. All you can do is block the ball back and look to play your way into the point. For sure. I mean, these are all best case scenarios. If you're playing John Isner, your strategy is cross your fingers and hope that you can make a play on the ball moving forward. But even in the real world, right? Like, so if you're playing somebody that's hitting 90 miles per hour into your body, that's a really tough serve. But there's still ways to work around it, right? Like, let's talk about that now, right? Like that's applicable to what we're talking about with the Rafa. Number 3.
Too often, as adults, we behave like children because we want to play with inside the line.
He's talking about all of us. All of us. Not just me and Nate.
I do this too. I see the line at the baseline and I go, I should plant my feet directly behind the baseline, right? It's this weird thing that we do with lines. When we drive, what do? We stay inside the lines. Yeah. So you don't need to stand here. And I see players all the time that are, maybe it's not even pace. Maybe it's a good kicker or a slider. So what I was talking about earlier, we call this the Rafa, because if you watch Rafa and Dominic Thiem, these guys are on hard courts. Look how far back they stand. And what ends up happening is that this player just doesn't have a really nasty slider or just tremendous pace. They're always getting a ball that they can handle. And more importantly, they can take a little bit more of a swing, right? So this is definitely me, right? Like, not on a hard court, but when I get on a clay court, I have a hard time like picking up the ball and taking it early. I'm way more comfortable dropping back, and then I'm going to play big and heavy. I'm going to play big and heavy because all I care about is depth. Now, this is the mistake that too many players are making. They stand back here and they stay back here.
Yeah, you got to move forward and cut those angles off.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, right? Because like if you don't get it, if you don't come in, then suddenly this player is playing you through short angles, and then that's a problem, right? So,
or the underhanded serve if you're playing a Nicky Kyrgios or somebody like
that's a legit strategy.
Yeah, I used it this past weekend
3 times.
Yeah,
played me.
Yep, that's true.
And one of them may have worked.
That's true.
All right, so playing deep and giving yourself time, especially on a kick serve. Let that serve come down and play it up.
Can I add something here?
For sure.
So if you're playing somebody, and this happens to us even at the 5-0 level, if you're playing somebody who's got a huge serve, but they're not that good at picking their spots, meaning like they can blast near tee or near single sideline, but they're not really painting lines. They're not comfortable, on the tee or really out wide. It's pretty easy to just stay back here in split step and move forward. And that's how you can deal with this pace. If you don't have a player that's got this serve that really bends out wide, there's not much of a consequence from starting really far back, split stepping from really far back, and letting that ball come to you a little bit more and giving yourself time to deal with that power. So keep that in mind. I think a lot of coaches will say, hey, you've got to make your way back up to the baseline. That's not necessarily true if your opponent doesn't have this slider out wide.
Yeah, certainly.
Sorry.
But I mean, I think that's it, guys, right? Get off the line. Play and not just get off the line, play with position. So maybe you did that on a first serve. Maybe on the second serve, you're here, right? Maybe if somebody's just absolutely pelting your backhand, let's move it over here, right? And here's the thing. When somebody tosses the ball up, you can change position. There's no rules. Like, you can't dance around and intentionally being distracting. But if somebody's been just pelting my backhand on the deuce court, as soon as that toss goes up, I'm moving to my left. And it's very hard to change what they're doing mid-serve. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, they'll go ahead and go left.
I do this a ton in singles. You've seen it. When I'm on the ad side and I'm returning serve, the second I see my opponent throw that toss behind their head and I know it's a kick, I just immediately jump out wide and running around and ripping forehands.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, pay attention to your opponent's toss and where they're just putting that ball through the court more often than not, and see if you can't make some intelligent guesses too.
All right, so we were talking about the chip and charge. We can stay in the deuce or the ad court for this one. I love the chip and charge, and I love it for doubles. I love it for singles. So I think Mark asked, why don't we see more pros doing it? We do on occasion, right? We see the Federers and such, the guys, the men and women, Ash Barty, that really like the net, doing a little bit more. The reason we don't see it more is the athlete today is just so much better than what we saw 20 years ago.
As is the equipment.
Exactly. I was going to say that too. The new polys and everything else, their ability to get out to a ball and create big topspin and big angles, even off a low slice, is really, really good.
So basically, serves are coming in bigger, but then also when that ball comes back, our ability to do damage is easier because of the new age athlete and because of the new age technology, right? So where Pat Rafter was an amazing athlete, he could chip, keep the ball low. Players are now geared towards sliding on hard courts, hitting squash shots from real low. They're very comfortable full out on the run, ripping winners. Like, it's just a different brand of tennis.
And taking the ball
than it was in the 90s. Yeah.
So think about like Novak's adjustment when Roger was doing the saber, right? He got some free points. It shocked him. He didn't know what to do. But Novak quickly adjusted and was off his split step quicker, taking the ball on the rise and redirecting, playing the ball back down the line or whatever else it might be. But for a lot of us, myself included, Scott included, the chip and charge is fantastic, right?
For sure.
So what ends up happening?
Particularly off of second serves.
Definitely on the second serve. But if this player plays out to the backhand, one of the patterns that I love is not just playing the ball. Like if you can hit a good deep ball there, fantastic. Not easy to do.
But a good short ball.
Yeah, play midcourt. Play like right here. Because that ball does stay low enough that this player, the server, by the time they land and they're trying to work up to the ball, remember, you always follow your approach shot. If you're chipping and charging, you're charging because you're coming in. You've got to follow the ball. Now, how does this work? Ball's here. And the obvious decision here is going, well, doesn't this player play across court? So what we want to do is we want to follow and we want to pinch, because low slice also really, really difficult to lob. Like if you see an open hand, be ready for
going up.
Yeah, be ready for the lob. But from here, you want the player playing cross court. And when they do, the ball stays in front of you and you get to punch it into the open court. Right? That's the goal. Now, what if the server gets this low ball and they go, I'm going to stay line. You're pinched in. You're here. Now you have a backhand volley that goes to the same part of the court. It's an awesome play. And like I think you hit the nail on the head. Second serves, man. Second serves. This is a beaut.
And just the pressure again. Like a lot of the strategies I like to employ are all about putting pressure on my opponent when I know they're already feeling uncomfortable. You're not usually, as a rec level player, feeling awesome that you're hitting a second serve. So that's a fantastic time to apply even more pressure, right? Like maybe they're subconscious about doing enough with their second serve. You start chipping and charging behind a couple of them. Again, that's going to put pressure on them to do more with that serve. They feel like, oh man, like I don't want to do it from their low ball. I don't want to have to hit a passing shot. I'm going to try and force something more with this next second serve. All of a sudden, you've got an opponent double faulting.
I'll give you guys, you doubles players, a little bonus here too. Scott and I, fun fact, played in a tennis tournament this weekend. We played a little doubles.
Which happens rarely.
That was what?
Our first time since I've known you.
Yeah.
In a decade
Scott and I
or so.
have never played each other in a tournament, but we also never played tournaments. So that's probably what happened. But so here was something that was happening. Scott was moving in behind his ball particularly well, and he was playing with somebody that had a very good volley. And so routinely what was happening, first serves, I'm trying to get the ball through the middle with topspin or whatever it might be. But if I float up at all, both of them are converging and they're attacking my net player. So I ask my net player, hey, come back with me. And then all of a sudden they're hitting little drop volleys. So here was the goal. What I did was, instead of standing back here like I like to do, I started standing in a little bit. And as Scott would come in, I would use the chip to find his feet. Didn't work all the time.
It worked a lot, though.
But it was effective enough that it gave me a look of getting the point started. Now, this is the cool part with, that's my partner. Sorry, I won't waste everybody's time.
Mr. X.
Yeah, Mr. X.
Xavier.
So what the nice thing, see what you did there, that's good. So if I can successfully play this ball low with a chip, now if it's high, I get my partner killed. But with the chip, you can also play wider and lower. Now what happens is if Scott pops his ball back up, Mr. X is now poaching and attacking through the middle of the court.
What I love about this strategy, so many of us, when we play doubles especially, feel like we have to rip past the net player. It's got to be a passing shot. It's got to be a lob. If you're taking this return, and again, taking it from inside the baseline or early on the baseline is important here, because if you wait too long for that ball to come to you, in that scenario, I get into the net closer, and now a chip's not as effective. But if you can take that ball early-ish and chip it low, now what you're doing is you're giving a ball down at the feet that is inevitably going to be popped up. Like Nate just said, his partner here, Mr. X, can look to move, and also gives him time to comfortably move forward because he knows I'm hitting up. If he doesn't hit a perfect ball and he's trying to pass us, he's pinned on the baseline here with us hitting down on that volley, and he's going to stay on defense for the rest of the point. So I think a lot of people view slice, especially off the return, as defensive, but in doubles, it actually can be one of the easiest ways to turn into quick offense.
Yeah, certainly.
Cool.
Certainly. So the last one, same play. For you guys that play backboards, counter punchers, retrievers, pushers, junk ballers, moon ballers, they have 1,000 names, right? We call them winners because people don't get connotations. They aren't referred to as something negative if they don't win a lot, right? So here would be my strategy if I'm playing someone super steady and loves the baseline. We'll just say a retriever. Retrievers move really well to their left and to their right. What they don't like to do is move up and diagonal. All right, my errors are struggling tonight. Sorry, guys. So my goal, and this is especially a second serve strategy, when I get this serve, I'm going to stand in, and I'm going to dink. I'm going to aim for what?
What do you got there, buddy?
I don't know. I've never done that.
Cute little arrow tool. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I don't know either. We're going to have to figure out what that was. All right, so but I'm going to play a dink. So I'm going to take their second serve, and I'm not trying to hit a winner. Don't confuse this.
It's not a drop shot necessarily.
Yeah,
it's just a short ball.
Yeah, I'm not going, hey, I want to hit a winner in this. What I want is a dink. So this player that's super comfortable in the baseline moves forward, and what's going to happen is I'm going to pinch the net. Now, as they try to play around me, I moved the whole screen, then comes the dunk. Ball floats up. Boom.
You'll notice a common theme here is if you can hit your opponent in the feet, they can pop up, you can close and punch down, right? That's the win here that we've talked about in the last two strategies.
Dunk them, man. I love the dink and dunk. And it's one that you want to mix in. If you have somebody, we all play players that have huge first serves and they just get in their second serve. Let them know. Like, make them afraid of hitting second serves. And that doesn't mean hitting a winner through the deep part of the court. You can do it with feel, with touch, finesse.
That's right. All right, guys, we're going to jump into some questions here. We've got some that our Plus members have pre-submitted, so I'll go through those first. We do have a lighter attendance tonight. I get it. U.S. Open's on after a long holiday weekend. We've only got just under 100 people in here right now, so if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and you ask a question, good chance we'll actually get to it. And that doesn't usually happen. So feel free to drop some questions in here. Mohammed, yes, you can ask a small question. Let me go to our Plus members that submitted in advance. This is a hard one from Jason Hollowell in Durham, North Carolina. But he says, is there a single most critical cue for doing damage on the return of serve? Oh, you want me to go?
That's a nose go, everybody.
I'll feel that. Yeah.
You just said it was going to be hard, so I figured.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there is a single most critical cue for doing damage on the return of serve, but I would say the single most important thing you need to do to hit a consistent and effective return of serve is time your split step correctly. Yeah. And we haven't actually talked about that, so I'll bring that up super quickly. When you're thinking about timing your split step, when your feet actually hit the ground should be just as your opponent makes contact with the ball. I see too many people jump and they're still in the air. Their opponent makes contact with the ball, then they land, and there's no time to react. So make sure you're syncing up that jump so that your toes are hitting the ground. It really depends on how big your opponent's serving, but for most of you rec players, sort of right as your opponents are making contact.
Yep.
Let's see here. Chris in Plus says, should the dink shot be a slice? For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because Chris, if you have like a semi-Western or even an Eastern forehand or backhand grip there, and you block that ball back with topspin, then when it hits, it's going to roll towards your opponent, right? So we want to get away from that. It doesn't have to be like an aggressive chop or a crazy slice, but you want to have either neutral to backspin on the ball so that it's going to stay closer to the net versus continue to travel.
The only exception, I'll throw this, Chris, the only exception is if you're shaping the ball off the court. It's just really tough to do this, right? Yep. If you get a ball that's super weak, if you can play it to where it's landing here and then it's going off the court, this is the key, right? That's where you can play top spin. You take heavy top spin and you play the ball so it stretches the player way out wide. Now, the reason this is risky and you can't do it over and over again is if you don't hit this well, look at all the space over here for them to hit in.
Right.
But if you catch them off guard, it's a phenomenal play. You just have to hit it effectively.
Chris, throw me a thumbs up if you're good. I can unmute you and you can talk to us if you have anything else you want to ask us. Are you good to go, or you want me to unmute you? Thumbs up if you want to be unmuted and talk to us. Nope. Okay, no worries. All right.
I'm offended. I'm just saying I'm offended. I totally get it.
All right, let's see here. Let me go back to one of the pluses that pre-submitted. I do see you guys. I promise that we'll get to you. Bilal, and I think I always butcher people's names, man. I'm sorry. I think it's Guido. Guido. Is that Guido?
Just keep trying.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
All right. So we talked about the split step. Naresh from Atlanta. This is going to be a tough one for us to answer without seeing your serve, unfortunately. But the question was, I'm trying to serve with speed, but it is mostly hitting the net or out of the service area, how to control this. We would need a little bit more information to answer this. But if you're submitting this question here, you're a Plus member and you actually have access to that.
That's
so follow the instructions in there with your iPhone. You can just go down the court, film a video of your serve, send it in. Nate Dogg Bowling will we'll hook it up.
The quick version of that too is if you're hitting a lot of balls in the net, make sure you're keeping your head up. When you're jumping, and I even hate using the word jumping, when you're loading energy through the ground, you're going up with your chest, right? Like envision like how Superman used to take off the ground. Like he didn't run and jump, he loaded down and he went straight up. The chest went straight up. So focus on keeping your chin up, your head up. We did a little analysis with Nick Kyrgios. If you watch Nick, he starts with his eyes already here. He's ensuring that he keeps his head up. Try that.
Yeah, I love that tip. It's what fixed my kick serve. I'm going to have to get back to work on it this week. This is from Ranch in Massachusetts. I can't pronounce the city he's from either. On the one-handed backhand, and I don't know that this is specific to returns, but it's a good question. So we'll fill it in anyway. On the one-handed backhand, is it preferable to have a closed fist grip with knuckles on top, bevel number 1, or should the fingers be somewhat spread open? So bevel number 1.
I got it.
He's saying here versus spread. Do we have a racket in here?
Yeah. So I think I got it without
a tennis racket in our
you do in your office. Oh, I got you.
Nate will be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
We don't need strings here, do we? All right, so to answer your question,
careful of your glass of water.
Or in the one-hander, I know on the forehand we talk a lot about spreading the fingers and specifically getting your index knuckle out, your index finger out. So on a forehand, if I'm hitting a semi-western, I want my grip to look like that. You can see that the knuckle is out.
You want to zoom in for the...
I think that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, they can see you.
Yeah, they can see it. Now, on the backhand, what we're doing is we're hitting an Eastern backhand grip. So you can go back to 1. You can be on 2. You can even come all the way back to bevel 8. That's where we see kind of the stand Wawrinka. Now, you can see here that my index knuckle is out a little bit. My preference is to have my knuckles more or between bevel 1 and bevel 2. But
some of this is personal preference too, right?
Totally. Okay. But what you'll see here is you can see my index knuckle is out slightly, but it's not the same as the forehand. And I know some players like this as far as the feel, but the reason you don't want to have the index knuckle out too much with the index finger is that from here you want wrist stability. So here you do have a little bit more of a fist so that the hand can drive through this way longer as the racket flips to contact. If I spread my finger out, what's going to happen is my wrist is going to want to go into deviation before contact. And that's going to be some wrist problems, right? So more of a closed fist. You can pull the finger out a little bit, but ultimately you're going to have a much more closed fist than what you would have on your semi-western forehand or Eastern or continental forehand.
Ranj, I don't know if you're watching. I don't see you in our plus room here, but hopefully that helps. You can obviously watch the recording, so hopefully you see that instruction. But definitely a question we get asked a ton.
Yep.
What racket? Yeah, gave me that racket. So we're getting asked what racket this is. So this was actually the custom racket that I designed with Wilson. I know you don't see too many rackets.
And I don't think they're doing the
fire
camo.
Red. Oh, they're not doing the camo.
I don't think
anymore?
they're doing the camo anymore.
Oh man. Oh, speaking of rackets, if you are not watching our YouTube channel, go there after this video and watch. We just did a racket review on the new Blade V8. That, I mean, I'm selfish. I think this bracket's pretty cool because I designed it. But the V8 literally changes colors like a chameleon, and it has
cool.
What do they call the new grip technology?
The torsion control, or no, it's the direct connect.
Direct connect.
But it gives you torsion control,
right?
Torsion
so like,
stability.
Instead of, you know how like on tennis rackets the butt cap comes off. Like if you take the base grip off, you can usually take the butt cap off. It's stapled on. That's not how the Blade V8 works. It's all one piece. So like we demoed these things. Wilson sent us the 4 different variations of them. But if you want to grab, I don't think they're out yet to the public, but we've got a link in that YouTube video where if you're thinking about buying one, you can pre-order them as a Wilson Insider. So definitely check out that YouTube video if you haven't.
And guys, obviously, like we're super pro Wilson, obviously, right? Yep. But
that's actually awesome.
I just wouldn't play with something I don't like. And I loved the V7, this V8, the feel combined with the stability. It feels like, if I was to sum it up, when I was a younger man and what I would consider a player's racket. I wanted a really heavy racket, but I always kind of was like, man, I wish there was a more feel on this up around the net and these touch shots. The new V8, it's a 10-8 frame, unstrung, but it feels like it has the heft of like a Mack truck, but it's soft. Like when you want to play a little finesse, especially volleys and whatnot, super, super soft and also stable. I think it's just it's hard to find that mix, right? Where you're like, I wanted to plow through like a train, but I wanted to be soft. The new V8.
We did a full-blown product review on it, so check that out. We're not trying to sell you Wilson product. And honestly, like, this is going to sound mildly arrogant. Like, we have a big enough following where we can play with whatever we want, and they'll ask us to promote it, sure. But, like, we prefer playing with Wilson rackets. That's why we play with them. If you go in our deals and discounts section, like, my body hurts. I use a Theragun. So I called Theragun, and I was like, hey, can you give all of our members discounts? Because their body probably hurts too. And this is what like, awesome. If you check out like all the products in the product section, it's not just like a library of doo-doo. It's stuff that we actually use and think is awesome.
Only on PlayYourCourt.
Only on PlayYourCourt can you hear the word doo-doo.
Doo-doo, yeah.
All right, back to some questions here. I've got one more pre-submitted, then I'll get to you guys on Facebook and YouTube, I promise. And Christopher, I see you too. I won't miss you. I promise, my man. All right. So we talked about this sort of. Benji from Graceland. I actually believe this is Benji's coming down for our serve workshop. I'll talk about that later. But he says, should a serve be returned from several feet in front of the baseline? Is there any advantage to this? We talked about this sort of. The answer is definitively yes, right? If you're getting shorter balls, if you're getting weaker serves, if you just have really good reflexes, the sooner you make contact with the ball, the less time your opponent, the server, has to react, the better off you're going to be. Now, remember what we talked about. If you're pulled out wide and you take that ball down the line, that's going to cause you problems. But in pretty much every other instance, yeah, I mean, get on that ball, take it on the rise. If you can get inside the baseline off of a weak serve and redirect that ball where your opponent is not, of course, there's a huge advantage.
Anytime you can take time away, you should take time away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But not on defense.
That's right.
Then play defense.
All right. Christopher, I'm going to pull you up here so we can talk to you and unmute you. Add pin. Why is that doing it like that? All right, Christopher, you should be able to unmute yourself there, my man.
I'm muted.
What's going on, man?
How was
your Labor Day weekend?
Good, man. Good.
Excellent. So I've got your question here. Shouldn't my return always be cross court to keep the server pinned deep? Sort of. So a lot of times you're going to get players that are serving and volleying and you don't have much of a choice, right? So if they're serving and volleying, that's definitely when we want to introduce that chip to their feet.
Yeah.
If we feel confident, if the serve is weaker, we may look to pass or lob.
We're talking doubles, singles?
Yeah, doubles.
Doubles, okay. I knew that. You're just you only primarily play doubles, right?
Yeah, mostly. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think the honest answer is there's an array of options you should have there, right? If they're serving and volleying, there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat, and a lot of it's going to be based on where that player comes in. So, like, let's just say you're returning here. Server serves. Just imagine Sorry, we'll give you more real humans next time, but as this player comes into the net, if they make it really far in and they overcover, I would lob, right? If they don't make it very far in, if they're well outside of the service line, I would try and drive at their feet. If they get in close to the service line, I would consider what Nate was talking about, chipping to their feet, or even like a rolling, dipping ball at their feet. So variety is the spice of life here. You're going to want to try and accommodate what you see. Your strategy should be heavily based on what you're seeing on the other side of the net, not predetermined.
Chris, Scott's being nice.
Yeah.
Heck no. Yeah, you should definitely be mixing it up, man. Come on.
Yeah.
We never want to deal with absolutes, right? So like how I'm going to have a really good service day?
I was trying to be nice. Nate's not going to do it.
Hey, we're buddies. I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Chris. So here's the problem where if I'm always just going back deep cross court and the server knows what to expect, I'm going to get really comfortable because I always know what's coming back. So guess what? I'm going to serve better too. What I want to see you doing is occasionally taking this
Internet,
ball.
roast Nate if you think he's silly for saying, if I know that every time you're going to pin me deep, I'm going to feel more comfortable serving. Roast him hard if you think that's not true. Go ahead.
So I don't know what you're talking about. But so here, like, I would love to see you throwing some lobs up over the net player, because what happens now for me, because we're talking about like how to disrupt the server. If I'm serving, I'm like, if he lobs again and my partner doesn't get off the net and I have to run to my stinky backhand again, what am I going to do? I'm going to go for more of my serve because I don't want you hitting that lob. You have me thinking. You have me thinking about what you're going to do. So same thing with so Chris, I'm guessing you probably have a really good deep ball. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to immediately get off the line. I'm going to serve and get ready for that deep ball. So you should be mixing in, as Scott said, you should be hitting in these low chips because now I'm not ready for it. It's the same way. Think of it like this. It's the same way on your serve. If your favorite serve is T, right? Oh, where's my thing? If your favorite serve is T, I'm going to go, cool. It's really good, but I'm just going to cover T. What makes your T serve better? You're out wide. And now I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So maybe I'm really good at returning. I read that. Now you introduce the body. So the returns should be the same way. You should play here. You should play here. You should play here. Heck, you should go right at the net player sometimes just to keep them honest.
So you've got a lot of options, as you can see here. But in all jokes aside, man, like a deep return cross court to keep your opponent pinned to the baseline is a very good strategy. We're never going to say don't do that. We're just going to say don't only do that. Does that help?
Yeah, I guess so.
Cool.
I know you're better than that. Mix it up, man. Come on, Chris.
Can I throw one more thing at you? But this is for the serving team. Let me just kind of run one thing by him. Let's say I'm the returner and I do lob the man successfully. Okay?
Right.
You're the serving team. Then how do you suggest the serving team now defends the lob?
Ooh, dibs. So you're going to try and take it out of the air. That would be my goal, especially if I'm seeing it happen over and over again. So you're saying you're the server. You're putting this – get off the tennis ball, little man. You're putting this ball in, and your opponent – am I dumb? This ball is coming over your partner's head. You're getting pinned to deep, right? That's the problem that you're running into?
Well, it's a scenario. What I'm going to ask, even if the server is serving in volley, who's responsible for covering the lob?
That's a fantastic question. So it's the only person on this tennis court that knows when the ball goes over this player's head, right, if they can get it or not, is this player, right? So communication has got to come from Professor X here. He's got to let you know mine or yours. But the rule I like to assume is when I see a lob go over my partner's head, I always assume it's mine until I've heard otherwise. Yeah. So when I see a lob go up here, I'm actually going to be shadowing in behind my partner. And I may even say out loud, I'm here if you need me. And they're going to say, no, mine. I'm going to say, okay, cool. Or they're going to say, yes. I'm going to say, great, switch. And X is going to move over here to cover. So to cover. Does that help?
Yeah.
And that's the same rule when both of you are at the net too. I mean, in a high-level scenario, you're not going to see a lot of lobs bounce, right? When you're watching doubles on the U.S. Open, you know, these last couple nights, you're not seeing a whole lot of lobs successful because high-level players can really anticipate. They're going to see the scenarios. They're going to watch the racket face. But at the rec level, you're going to run into partners that aren't going to do a great job of communicating. And when you're both at the net and this ball goes up over this net player's head, the second you see that ball leave their racket, I'm taking off, just assuming that it's mine. And then if they say, no, mine, I'm going to say, okay, cool. Then I'll go right back to where I headed, and that's fine. But if I don't take off right away, there's no way I'm going to cover this ball. And as we get better and better and faster, and the anticipation is better, either this player is going to take that ball out of the air, or this player is anticipating so well that they're actually cutting back and taking this out of the air, and they're switching positions. Cool.
Yeah. Can I throw one more thing by you?
Sure, of course.
Okay. Again, returning. This is situations I think that are coming more in doubles. What happens when you have a serving team that uses the I formation?
Ooh.
Oh, I love the I formation.
Do you want you or me? I can go happily if you don't want to.
Yeah, get it.
I so rarely coach. I always am just like, I don't know. All right, so
should we go with the screen with the 4?
Yeah, do we have one?
Yeah, we'll probably mess it all up, but let me.
I think it's on like a. If you can ignore our weird.
No, that's not it. Hold on, I have it. Use this guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, a multi-million-dollar technology company. Check out this tennis court. We are very sophisticated.
Look, why is the net so huge?
Don't even worry about it. All right, so this is pathetic. We will do a better job of selecting courts for our next live stream. That is for sure. All right, so typically what you're going to see, at least if I'm coaching you, why you would be doing this is maybe you've got a right-handed player that's really uncomfortable with their backhand serving, and they don't want to end up in this cross-court backhand rally. So I'm going to serve, and I'm going to quickly slide over and be in a down-the-line forehand to backhand rally, right? So your question would be, how do I deal with this as a returner, right?
Right. I mean, I'm the returner. I don't know who's going to break where initially in the I formation.
If you've got a lot of movement, so if they're doing this over and over again, and sometimes they're poaching, sometimes they're staying, then I'm going to tell you just rip middle, because what they're not going to do is stay in the middle, right? So if they're lining up straight up I formation, they're straddling the center service line. I don't know where they're going, but I know they're not staying where they are. So to take all of the, mental tomfoolery off my plate, I am just going to rip straight through the middle of the court right to where they were. I think that's the easiest way. When we're looking at this mentally, it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? That's the solution to sort of, not have to freak out about it mentally and just have a pre-made decision. No matter where they serve, I'm ripping dead smack through the middle of the court. And then try and get to the net, because when you get that ball by the net player, when they're in I formation, there's a lot of scrambling and a lot of confusion.
And I think it's a lot about like, where's the server serving, right? So the most effective pattern here would be if the server's serving T, this is a problem, because now it's very, very difficult to try to pull this ball back across. Fun fact, I don't have that. Oh, there you go. It's very hard for me to pull the ball this way off the forehand without this player intercepting. Yeah. Yep. When the ball comes out wide, and for whatever reason, this is where I see a lot of club players playing it, they play the ball wide. This is actually easier. You should play an alley rally, take a chip and play in the alley, or just block lob it. Just block lob it all the way back to this corner.
Yeah, you've got a lot of open court space to play with for a lob in this situation too. So if you're really freaking out, just punch lob the furthest distance you can away from that net player or to their backhand side, right? Like if this is a right-handed player, a punch lob really to either side here, high over their backhand side. I mean, you're going to be in a good neutral place to start the point.
That's right.
Cool?
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah.
All right, my man. Thanks for tuning in. I know there's professional tennis to watch. I appreciate you watching us instead.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon, man.
Have a good night. Let me just unpin here. All right, I have promised our YouTube and Facebook folks that I'm going to get to them, and I wasn't lying. So let me get in here. Justin Bennett says, hi. Guido says I did pronounce his name correctly. I'm going to work my way through here. All right, so Bilal Tennis, I think. If I'm butchering it, I'm really sorry. But hey, guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. Oh, wait, this isn't a radio show. Anyways, awesome. Quick question about nerves. What's a good way to calm yourself down before returning in a tight match? You or me?
I'll jump on it real quick. So one, and this is probably what you're going to say. You love this tip. It's a great tip. Get your feet moving.
Yep.
Right? You want to get out of your hands. Your hands are going to get tight. You're going to want to squeeze the racket. First thing is get the racket out of your hitting hand, so it's in your non-dominant hand, and get your feet moving. This stuff. Get your feet going so that you're activated and you're starting to breathe. Second, control your breathing. All right? If you're super nervous and you're breathing real slow, speed up your breathing. If you're overexcited with nerves, because nerves can go one of two ways. If you're overexcited with nerves, breathe through the nose, try to get through the diaphragm, breathe out with pursed lips. And then I'll give you my favorite strategy. And this one takes a little bit more time for nerves, calming down nerve strategy. You need about 15 to 20 seconds, but this is the rooms. So
I love this tip.
Scott hits a blazing winner on me, or I miss the easiest overhead in the entire world. It doesn't matter, right? Because whatever just happened, it's over.
It's in the past.
And I think sometimes we think, well, I should only move on when I hit a bad shot. You should just as easily move on when you hit a good shot. So number one, the first room you're going to visit, the bathroom. Go into the bathroom. Whatever happened,
flush that bad boy down the toilet.
Get rid of it, right? Immediately get rid of it. Second room you're going to go to is your favorite room in your house, wherever you need to go to relax, right? I have a particular room, very, very serene, very quiet.
The living room. Come on, you got the recliner, you're going to relax a little bit.
Yep, and that's where you're going to focus on your breathing, slowing down, speeding up, whatever you need to do.
All of this is taking collectively about 6 seconds thus far, too. I know they're like, wait a second, am I supposed to like lay down?
Right.
No, this is happening quickly. It's a metaphor, but.
Third, you're walking into the office, all right? And here's where you're devising your plan.
Because let's get down, let's get down, let's get down to business.
That's right. So you're devising a plan and you're making a decision. What are you doing on this return? You're not just surviving, you're planning, right? You want to plan for what you want to do. And then the fourth is the hallway. And this is as you turn back to your opponent and you're walking up to the line, get your chest out, walk tall. Your body language is super important. What's that?
I'm sorry.
The Cincy Passway?
ICB is the Cincy Passway. I assume that's in reference to flushing it down the toilet.
Yeah. There you need about a 9
first room you got to go to is the bathroom.
It's 15, 20 seconds, not 9 minutes
not 8
to
minutes.
Be confused. But yeah, make sure you're walking back to the court looking super confident, because if I look beat, downtrodden, or whatever else, he's going to get super pumped up because he knows the match is almost over. I want him to know that I'm not going anywhere, and it doesn't matter how many times I miss, I'm still going to keep coming back.
I love it. Cool. All right, moving right along here. Guido asks, best grip to return a big serve on the forehand. What's the best tactic? So what I'm going to do for you here, I'm not going to get into a debate over semi-Western or full Western or Eastern forehands. But what I will tell you is if you've got a two-handed backhand, and I'm going to go over the one-hander too, whatever forehand grip you use, so when you hit your forehand and you rip, whatever grip you use to hit that forehand is what should be on bottom when you're in your ready position to return, and just in general. And whatever grip you use to hit your two-handed backhand should be on top. So now what happens is if I get a forehand, I let go, and I can rip that forehand. And if I have that backhand, and again, I might have a little bit of space or maybe a little bit of a slide depending on how good of a player I am. Like I know we talk a lot about really high-level players. Sometimes we're even up here and make this transition. But if you're at a rec level, I'm going to recommend if you've got that two-hander, you're starting at least on the grip. If there's a little slide, fine. But your bottom hand will naturally rotate. This is huge on return to serve. If you're fumbling for the grip, there's just no time to have success. So you've got to be waiting with your forehand grip on bottom, your backhand grip on top. If you've got that one-hander, we're just up here on the throat so that we can guide that grip turn. Guido, let me know if that helps, my man. But I think that really is the big win there. There's not necessarily a correct grip. I mean, Federer's ripping with an Eastern.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it is, it needs to be abbreviated. Yep. Right. Whatever's happening, you're not taking a full swing. It's happening to the side of your body, and you're using the momentum of the ball to fight it back. If you're having a really hard time, say you have a semi-Western and you have to block back, use the continental.
Yep.
But that's about all.
Tristan, and I know Tristan asked this a while ago. I think we've probably answered this, but we'll quickly recap. Tristan says, is it hard down the middle on the return, always the right play? It's not. We talked a lot about how driving deep to the middle of the court is beneficial, but there are, of course, opportunities where we want you to rip the ball down the line if you're pulled in. I mean, there's all kinds of other opportunities to attack. I think the one to stay away from that's worth recapping is when you're on defense, and remember, defense is when you're pulled out of position. You can't play an offensive ball. So when you're pulled on defense or pulled out wide, I don't want you ripping down the line. That's an offensive ball. When you hit that offensive ball from a defensive position, look at all the court space you're leaving open. Short distance, you're in trouble. That said, if you're pulled into the middle of the court or more into an offensive position, by all means, rip down the line. Fair?
Fair.
Justin Bennett, hi.
Howdy.
I don't know what else to say there. I hope you're doing well.
Love the fair gun. Me too, Kelly.
Yeah, what else? Okay. What type of racket is best for an intermediate teenager that plays every other day and plays tournament? Charles, do me a favor talk to me a little bit about swing path and the overall height and weight of that human, because that's going to play a big role. I will say, though, on Wilson.com, there's actually a pretty good little tool that just search on Google Wilson Racket Finder. It'll like bring you through a little quiz and recommend the exact correct racket for you. And if you're in this community, which you probably are, if you're on this live stream, don't forget you got deals and discounts there. So go grab that code.
Oh yeah, you can show the comment. I always forget you can do that here. You forget to, don't you?
Yeah, I did. Scott, Nate, great video with discussion examples. Throwing in doubles advice is nice for us senior doubles players. Faye, you are most welcome.
Always happy to help there. We're all doubles players as well as singles players, right?
That's right. A dividend investing journey said, can you discuss the return in doubles a bit? Pros of a chip and charge versus a more aggressive approach, lob returns. We actually just did that. So hopefully we answered your question. If you have anything additional to ask, certainly drop it here.
And we have doubles tactics coming up that we go over the return as well. We can't just give it all. We can't tell you everything that we don't.
We actually are closing that course tonight, by the way.
The doubles?
Yeah. This is not me selling. There's just a lot of people asking doubles questions. It is me selling, but yeah, I don't want you to miss out. It's $49 for what will cost you $200 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let me find that link and just throw it in here. If you're a Plus member, you already have this course for free, so do not buy this if you're a Plus member. Just go to your video library. But I'll throw this on the interwebs for you guys. If you go here, it's a course called Doubles Movement Mastery. We normally sell it for $200. We're selling it for, I think, $49 and giving like $200 of the free video courses. It's a good deal. Check it out. If you buy it, cool. If not, it's fine too. All right, Gary Peterson, what's going on, man? Welcome to the
Gary, what's up, buddy?
Plus chat room. I don't know if you've done this before. Are you cool with us unmuting you and bringing you on screen and all of the fun? Give me a thumbs up if you're cool with that. All right. Some people are shy. You can never just assume.
Gary wants to hang with us.
All right. You're pinned, and I just asked you to unmute. You should be able to unmute and talk to us.
Hey guys,
Gary, what's going on, man? How are you?
Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for
you were like, I could be watching the Open, but I'm gonna go watch Scott and Nate.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you.
No, I need more help than the Open can give me.
you can't be like the 18-year-old just absolutely destroying the ball. That kid hits so hard. You don't even know. You haven't even watched him.
I'm not here talking about
I was that 18-year-old, but I'm not 18 anymore.
There you go. Neither is Nate.
Right.
Neither is Nate.
No, I'm not.
All right, well, talk to us here. I've got I'll reread your question here, but then clarify for us if you have any clarification needed. So as a righty in the ad court, I struggle returning high wide topspin serves from lefties and high wide kick serves from righties. So basically, as a righty in the ad court, you don't like the ball high to your backhand, is what I'm hearing, right?
Hate it.
No, hey, guess what? We all do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this mostly singles, doubles, all of the above?
A lot of singles, but I also hit it in doubles. Yeah.
Okay.
The answer here, and I would be willing to bet you've heard it before, is you just got to get that ball before it gets up. All right. So if you
jump in.
Yeah, and it's not as terrible as it sounds here. I'm having a hard time navigating our technology tonight. So let's just say you're playing singles.
I'm dead. They have a +1 that's.
Yeah, and so that's good news. Like, so you know where you need to get to be comfortable, right? So if you're getting a ball that's hitting here and kicking, that's when this thing is going to jump up and you're going to be up here where you're just miserable, right?
Yeah, I'm miserable on the +1.
So I mean, look,
okay.
the return's okay. Is the +1 just because you're not doing enough damage with the return, like you're just kind of blocking it back and it's weak, or what's
just a weak slice kind of into the middle of the court, maybe a little partway between the service line and the baseline, but with 75% of the court open, I'm just powerless.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my advice would be to take that return a couple feet further inside the court so that ball is not getting up to your shoulder height. So you're hitting it in that strike zone where you're doing some damage on that return to serve. There'll be a little bit of a timing issue as you're practicing it at first, but I promise if you put the reps in there, the outcome is going to be worth the energy.
In your platform,
half volley.
You can, yeah. I mean, certainly. I mean, you want it up off the ground because I mean, the whole goal is to keep the ball from breaking. So if you have a kick serve that's just like kind of going up, which is more of just like a topspin serve, that's easier. But if the ball is actually breaking, you've got to get it before it breaks. But we have a video on how to return the kick serve. Make sure you check that out in the vault because we talk about 4 strategies. Scott went over 1, taking it early. The other one we talked about earlier in this video was the Rafa, right? So, and I know this is a position issue, but so
you're talking about the single strategy and tactics course.
No, just we have a video. We actually did a video on how to return kick serves.
Have you played around in there at all yet, Gary? In the video vault inside your Plus platform there?
It's been a while.
You can just do a little quick Google search. There's a search bar inside of the platform there, and if you type in like forehand, like all kinds of forehand videos will come up. So type in there return, and there's a couple different videos on these exact strategies if you want like a deeper dive. But
yeah. But so if you really struggle taking it early, you can play off the line and let the ball drop. And you're right, the positioning stinks. You're way off the court. You're way deep in the court. So here, your best bet is to almost moonball back to the middle. Just moonball really high, because now what you're doing is you're putting them in a position. And when I say moonball, I don't mean like no rotation. I mean big and heavy. Think Rafa. And what happens is now your opponent has to make a decision if they want to attack over. Let me send that back my way. If they want to attack over here, right, they've got to take the ball early. So you kind of give them that same proposition of like, all right, cool. If you want to take it on the rise and hit into the open court, cool. Otherwise, they back up, and that gives you the ability to get back to middle, and then you're at a 50-50 split. So on a really good kick serve, it's hard to have that offense. The other thing that I would suggest, and I'll be honest, what I do 50% of the time with big kickers, chip it.
Yep.
Because it's easier to get up the ball on your chip, having the left hand up in the throat for this leverage. It's going to be easier to fight that ball off and chip the ball down. And what that's going to do is make your opponent then hit the ball up. Doesn't mean that you're going to be on offense, but it's definitely going to make them think about whether they want you chipping the return back, especially if you have a good chip.
That's right.
Yeah, I was chipping today, and my lefty was just pounding the ball to the open court.
Yeah.
Just
don't chip from up here though, right? You hear Nate, like crowd the baseline a little bit more and chip from where you're comfortable. Like, do you have a pretty good chip when you're hitting in your strike zone?
Yeah.
So there you have it. So you know your strengths. Make sure your footwork pattern is highlighting those strengths, not forcing you into something you know you're not going to like.
So just make sure I can get up close enough so that I can hit it in my strike zone before it kicks
Exactly.
off.
You're just going to press the baseline a little bit on that return to find the ball more in your strike zone before it gets up and out of control.
Does your buddy, does he have a good kicker through the tee?
I haven't seen him hit it.
Yeah.
So
So do this. I mean, this is what I do in doubles. I'm not kidding. I stand way out here, and I'm like, all right, so your kicker's driving me nuts. Let's say your flat serve. I want them to change the serve. I want them to hit a flat serve. I want them to hit a slice serve. And if they can hit it here, then I'll change position. But now this way, what I'm doing is I'm going to absolutely jump all over a forehand. And I'm going to hit the ball. Now I am going to be aggressive. I'm going to hit, I'm going to hit really big and take some cuts here, right? But all you have to do, like I like the bluff. All you have to do is make 1 or 2 of them to make them think that you've got it figured out. And then they try to throw a different pitch. That's what we want. Make them pitch something else.
Thoughts? Is that helpful? Right. Feel like you got what you need?
It gives me some options.
All right. We'll report back and let us know how it goes, man.
Thanks for dropping in, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching us and not professional tennis. It's very heartwarming. Not a lot of people are making that decision tonight. This is one of our lower attended live streams, but I get it.
Everybody wants to watch Alcaraz. NFA.
I figured your good looks would carry us to like at least several hundred people.
No. It looks like the match got pushed back too. It hasn't started. Somebody's playing. Somebody's match for it.
Oh, Christopher says, if you don't want to know what's going on in women's tennis right now, I'm about to spoiler alert you. So plug your ears. In 3, 2, 1. Sabalenka is through to the semis. Sabalenka, excuse me.
Man, that was a decisive victory too.
Here, I'm going to field this next question while you put new batteries in your microphone, apparently. Let's see here. So Vincent Chang says, in singles, what is the better percentage return, directed at the server who is charging the net or trying to hit past them. A lot of that's going to depend on the serve, Vincent. So if you cool? Yeah. A lot of that's going to depend on the serve. So if you've got a server who's just sort of cupcaking it in there and you've got plenty of time to set your feet and rip, then passing absolutely is going to be a fantastic option. If you're playing more of a defensive situation where you're having to reach or you have to chip or you can't really like set your feet and rip, or they're making a big first serve and doing damage, then dropping that ball at their feet or trying to roll, safer to them, or even just making them play a volley is going to be a better situation, in my opinion. Are you good there, Nate Dogg?
I think so. Check 1, 2, check.
Let me just get a thumbs. Hey, thumbs up and plus if you can hear Nate real good. Talk your talk.
Howdy, folks.
All right, cool.
All right.
Mike is back online. Look at that. Solving problems live. All right. Oof Meester. That's how you'd pronounce that, yeah. I think. Okay. For singles, the opponent is hitting really hard first serves. Where should I focus on returning it? So that's a tough question without more information, but I think deep to the middle is probably your best bet in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, just if it's okay for Fed to block the ball back,
it's okay for you.
It's certainly okay for the rest of us, right? Like, block it, block the ball deep, chip the ball short. I mean, I know we kind of keep saying the same thing. There's not an easy fix here. Like this, there isn't pulling a rabbit out of the hat. If somebody's hitting 100-mile-per-hour serve to you, changing the direction of the serve is going to be extremely difficult. You can abbreviate the stroke and punch it back, and that's what I always advise is like use the server's pace against them. But at the worst case scenario, remember what we said we started this whole session with was do whatever you can to get the ball back. So if that means I'm simply just blocking the ball and pushing it back deep into play, fine. Maybe they're roping some forehand winners, but in time, I'm giving myself to extend the point. That's what I want, right? Yep. If I can get to a 30-all situation and I get a second serve, now I'm strategically doing something. Yes, I'm going to attack it, right? I'm looking for opportunities. I'm not looking to just turn the serve into my own personal offense. It's not really a thing against a good server.
That's right. I don't know enough about this to answer this because I don't coach it and I don't really necessarily recommend it. So I'm going to make you answer this question.
Yeah.
Ed Darden says, when you do the saber, where should you hit the return? How hard and what type of shot?
Interesting. So saber, the sudden attack by Roger. Yeah.
So saber, for those of you that aren't familiar, is when you take the ball extremely early on the rise with your backhand side, I think, and just sort of punch it back low and
ideally you're taking it down the line, and the reason you're taking it down the line is you're the server stacked is lined up cross court, and the saber's all about taking time away. So if you quickly get on it and you punch it down the line, you're making them run the farthest distance. So that's where Roger's hitting it the vast majority of the time. Occasionally he'll go right back to them. Occasionally he'll go a little bit cross court. Cross court I would not advise because you're giving them an angle unless you hit it extremely well. But that is one of the rarities to where if you can punch it down the line and follow the ball in, and I think that's the key is you've got to follow it in. That's when to do it. But the saber is really all about mixing it up. You can do it like once a set, maybe twice a set.
It's certainly not a reliable thing we would recommend you do on the regs. Kelly asks, do you recommend a heavier racket for everyone or just for men or just if you have fast racket head speed? Do you want to cover the gear?
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite there for most players, Kelly. Having fast racket head speed isn't necessarily conducive to having a heavy racket. A lot of times you're seeing players play between the 10-4 and 10-8, and they really have that big racket head acceleration. What we're seeing with a lot of the heavier rackets outside of the pros are guys, men and women like Scott, playing with an Eastern grip, maybe playing with a Continental grip. They're more compact. Right. But does that mean that you can't have a big full stroke? I mean, I have a huge swing, and I play with a relatively heavyish racket. Yeah, heavy, still make that face. But I played with an 11-3 my entire life, and my strokes haven't changed at all. But yeah, it shouldn't be. It's all personal feel. It's not between men and women. You've got to decide. And I always, we always talk about demoing. Like, get rackets in your hand and feel.
A lot of it can be body dependent too. Like, I've seen heavier rackets just injure people just based on their body
Yeah.
build or whatever else they've got going on personally. Like maybe they sit at the desk and type all day and they've got carpal tunnel and heavy racket. You know, like there's a lot of X factors that we can't answer there, but demoing is the key to success for sure.
And everybody, I mean, Wilson.com, and I mean, everybody, any of the distributors go in there, they tell you what swing speed it's suitable for. Right. And they tell you what power level the racket has. So if I've got a really short swing and the racket is low power, that's not great, right?
Yeah.
Like I want something with a little bit more pop.
Yeah, do a little bit of research there. All the information is there for you. Ian Westerman, my man from Essential Tennis, says MJ or Kobe.
Michael, come on in. That's not even a question.
I mean, Ian, I'm offended you could even put Kobe in the same.
I mean, LeBron.
Universe
You could put
LeBron. No, not LeBron either.
More than
we're
Kobe.
We're not.
I'm a Celtics fan, Ian. You're never getting me to. I mean, Kobe was amazing, but
yeah. MJ all day.
MJ all day. What about you, Ian? Who do you like, Kobe?
Yeah, Ian, who
Michael
do you
or
want,
Kobe?
MJ or Kobe? We're gonna have like a 15-second delay before.
If he comes back with Larry Bird, I'm gonna give you a big old hug next time.
It's got to be somebody from Milwaukee.
Well, Larry Bird was from. He's from Indiana.
I know. I just said he's got to be somebody from Milwaukee.
Oh, so
jerk face. All right.
He's like Giannis.
Gary Peterson back in our plus room here says, so returning an underhanded serve presents a lot of challenges, particularly if it is really short and soft, bringing you close to the net. How would you handle that ball when it's a surprise and you can't just sit on it? That question is even more challenging in doubles. So I'm always in singles or doubles, probably punching deep.
Yeah.
Is that your answer to that question as
well?
So
here's the mantra, and I promise you this will serve you for Bird, come on.
Ian says, Bird, I like hugs.
Greatest player of all time. Larry Bird's the best.
All right, sorry. Ian, you're distracting. Answer Gary's question here for us.
So, Gary, the mantra here is it's fast feet, slow hands. So what happens, and this is good for anything that's short, right? If you're getting a short ball or an approach, an underhand serve, the problem is that we kind of get startled, and then we end up moving up to the ball sluggishly, right? And then also we speed the feet way up, and the hands speed way up, and the swing gets really big. I want to be methodical with my feet. So off the mark fast so that I can then slow down and work through my hands. It's like the DMV, right? It's hurry up, slow down. Good thing you got there early. You're still waiting 2 hours.
I'll make a DMV comparison. They should just punch you in the face when you walk in the DMV, because then you're like, oh, man, this line sucks, but it's that punch in the face was way worse.
Disappointment. Is the DMV universal? Is that just Virginia, or is it?
It's called something else.
Ian, do you have DMV in Milwaukee?
Is that really where this live stream is going?
But yeah, man, fast feet, slow hands. Like the stroke should be small. When you get up to that ball, just treat it like you would any other return of serve, but use your forward momentum through the ball. That's what I would always advise.
I like it. All right, guys, it is 9:15 where we live. I have a pregnant wife that I need to get home to, so we're going to shut it down here. I appreciate you guys watching. Really quick, couple orders of business here. That Doubles Limit Mastery course does close tonight at midnight. I'm not just selling you. This will cost $200 tomorrow or $49 today with $200 of the bonuses. So let me drop that link for you guys if you want to be better at doubles. And then we are holding a serve workshop here in October 15th. There's only 8 people. We are going to sell that thing out. So I love you guys, but if you don't come, we're going to fill it. Just giving you dibs. So we sold, I think, 3 seats already, 5 left. If you want to check that out, go here and ignore the dates on there. We haven't updated the dates on this particular landing page. It is October 15th. So there are those links. And the last thing that I will say is we did do a pretty cool, in my opinion, I'm biased. I think a lot of our video content's cool, but we did do a pretty in-depth review on the 4 different versions of that new Blade V8 that just came out.
Kevin says the face punch sounds like a promising idea. And DMV is in California. Thank you for clarifying.
There you
Kevin.
go. DMV in California too.
Or the important things. You may have just started a new trend in DMV.
You hire somebody that just punches you in the face right when you walk in?
Yeah.
All right, well, with that fun close about getting punched in the face in the DMV, we will see you guys next time. We try, if you haven't figured it out yet, we try and do a live stream on the first Tuesday of every month, unless it's like a crazy holiday. That sort of bit us in the booty this go around because it happened to fall in the U.S. Open. We didn't plan that very well, but keep an eye out. If you're inside the Play Your Court membership, you'll see a calendar of live events there. Even if you're not a Plus member, you can still watch on Facebook and YouTube, and you'll know when we're going to go live. So get in there and check that out. Appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy the rest of the US Open.
Really appreciate you.
We'll see you guys soon.
See ya.